In my last video, I introduced what bureaucracy is and its characteristics of impersonal nature, where decisions are made based on predefined rules and procedures, and personal influence is minimized to ensure fairness and consistency. Bureaucracy has become a fundamental organizing principle in organizations. However, bureaucracy, while designed to ensure efficiency and standardization through formal rules and hierarchical structures, often leads to delays and inefficiencies due to extensive, rigid procedures and approvals required for decision making. This can be particularly evident in situations that require fast decisions and adaptability. In this video, I'll focus on 4 main reasons for bloated bureaucracy. The first reason is complex regulations. Government agencies often deal with complex overlapping regulations that requires a large administrative staff to manage compliance and enforcement. In the context of K-12 education, the complexity and the volume of regulations covering every aspect of school operation, from curriculum standards, student safety, teacher certification, to special education services, demand a substantial administrative apparatus. Schools must navigate an ever-changing landscape of state and federal standards, requiring administrators to constantly adjust the curricula, testing, and the teaching methods. This requires roles dedicated solely to understanding, implementing, and monitoring those standards. When it comes to special education, the legal requirements to provide individualized education programs for students with disabilities add layers of documentation, assessment, and reporting. Managing this requires a team of specialists from special education coordinators to paraprofessionals, all generating and processing a large amount of paperwork. Moreover, increasingly strict safety protocols from physical campus security to cyberbullying policies and mental health services require dedicated staff for planning, implementation, and liaison with local law enforcement and mental health agencies. In higher education, the bureaucracy is compounded by the dual focus on education and research, alongside the need to comply with accreditation requirements, research funding regulations, and international student regulations, among others. Colleges and universities must adhere to a wide range of accreditation standards that cover academic quality, governance, financial stability, and student services. This requires a large staff to ensure ongoing compliance, prepare for accreditation reviews, and manage the extensive reporting requirements. Managing research funding involves navigating complex grant application processes, compliance with funding body regulations, and ensuring all research activities meet ethical standards. This requires a significant administrative structure, including grant managers, compliance officers, and ethics review boards. The administrative bloat in both K-12 and higher education are often well-intentioned efforts to improve educational outcomes. However, to manage compliance and enforcement, institutions create specialized administrative roles, leading to redundancy and inefficiencies. The unintended consequences of those well-intentioned efforts to adhere to complex regulations and improve educational outcomes is an ever-growing administrative structure. The second reason for bloated bureaucracy is lack of incentives for efficiency. Unlike the private sector, where profit motives can drive efficiency, public agencies lack similar incentives, leading to potential bloat. In educational institutions, newly hired administrators tend to bring in their own team from previous organizations, which adds another layer to the bureaucratic complexity and bloat in both the K-12 and the higher education settings. A new superintendent may bring in a team to overhaul the school district's approach to curriculum development. This could lead to the creation of multiple New deputies and associate roles focus on curriculum, even when such positions already exist, leading to an inflated curriculum development department. Here are some absurd job titles that reflect excessive bureaucracy. Chief Curriculum Officer, Deputy to the Chief Curriculum Officer, Assistant to the Deputy to the Chief Curriculum Officer, Executive Director for the Curriculum Development, Senior Director for Curriculum Development, Associate to the Executive Director of Curriculum Development, Assistant Director of Curriculum Development, Assistant to the Assistant Director for Curriculum Development, and Executive Liaison for Curriculum Development. In higher education, a new university president may introduce a team to revamp the institution's research strategy. This may include new vice presidential roles, along with a suite of specialized coordinators and assistants, creating a redundant organizational structure to the existing research administration. Here are some absurd job titles: Vice President of Research Development, Associate Vice President of Research Development, Coordinator for Research Development, Executive Director for Research Development, Senior Executive Coordinator for Research Development, and a Deputy to the Senior Executive Director for the Senior Executive Coordinator for Research Development. If that's not enough, we can also add Vice President of Interdisciplinary Research Projects, Vice President of Next Generation Research Talent Acquisition and Retention, and Vice President of Global Research Impact and their administrative teams. Of course, those are exaggerated examples. The point is that new administrators exacerbate the existing challenges of inefficiency. The new team's roles may overlap with those of existing staff, leading to role ambiguity, confusion, inefficiency, and a lack of clear accountability. To accommodate newly hired leaders' team, new administrators may create positions that mirror or slightly tweak the responsibilities of existing roles, justifying those additions as necessary for their leadership practices. The addition of associates, deputies, executives, coordinators, along with assistants to those roles, adds the layers of administration, distancing decision-makers from frontline employees who are educators. What makes it worse is that public educational institutions are not motivated to cut down their bloated bureaucracy. Unlike businesses that must streamline operations to survive in a competitive market, public education agencies do not face the threat of closure in the same way if they operate inefficiently. This lack of competitive pressure reduces the urgency to eliminate redundant positions or processes. Tenure and union contracts also contribute to organizational inefficiencies. While designed to protect educators and ensure stability in the school system, tenure and union contracts can also make it difficult to implement changes that would streamline operations. For example, it may be challenging to reassign or reduce administrative roles due to contractual obligations and tenure protections. In higher education, universities often prioritize improving their standing in national and international rankings. To improve rankings, universities may create specialized roles or departments focus exclusively on metrics important to ranking bodies. Those roles could include data collection and analysis, marketing, and strategic planning, all aimed at enhancing the institution's performance in ranking criteria. The allocation of resources, financial, human, and time to those areas can be substantial, potentially diverting them from other critical areas such as teaching, research, support, and student services. However, the ranking often use narrow metrics which may not be consistent with the university's goals articulated through the university's mission and vision statements. the pursuit of prestige through rankings can divert attention from the need to streamline operations. Instead of streamline operations to better serve students and faculty, institutions may add layers of administration, focus on data and reporting for rankings, which does not directly contribute to the educational experience. The third reason for bloated bureaucracy is political considerations. In K-12 education, school board members, often elected, may push for the creation of positions or programs that reflect their priorities or those of their election campaign donors and supporters, rather than based on education necessity. This can lead to roles that are more about political appeasement than organizational efficiency. Political considerations often dictate funding priorities, leading to administrative expansions in areas favored by policymakers or to secure budget increases from government bodies, sometimes at the expense of more pressing educational needs. Moreover, political pressure to implement state or federal education initiatives can lead to development of specialized administrative roles or departments. For example, mandates for standardized testing, school safety measures, or curriculum standards can require additional administrative staff to ensure compliance and reporting. Higher education institutions may also expand their administration to cater to the interests of board of trustees or major donors who may have specific interests or initiatives they want to see advanced. This can include creating new administrative positions or departments to oversee those initiatives. The fourth reason for bloated bureaucracy is administrators' innate desire for power and control. Administrators, particularly those in non-operative roles that could be affected by efficient measures, may perceive streamlining efforts as direct threats to their job security. This fear can lead to resistance against initiatives aimed at reducing bureaucratic layers or consolidating roles. In many cases, the size of an administrator's department or the number of direct reports is seen as a status symbol, reflecting their power and influence in the organization. Streamlining processes that reduce the size of the department or the number of direct reports could be viewed as diminishing an administrator's authority and status. As a result, resources that could be better spent on direct educational outcomes, such as teaching and learning resources, may instead be consumed by maintaining redundant administrative positions and departments. Here is my question for you. If public agencies, including public education institutions, have limited incentives to optimize organizational bureaucracy, how can it be stopped?